Welcome back, Jayhawks. Welcome back to JayhawkJukebox. I'm Taylor.
I'm Jason.
And we are talking about our songs of the week. So I want to start off with what you chose because this was a very interesting song to me, very similar to every single other song that you've suggested.
Wow.
And I'm always very shocked by what you say, what songs you suggest, because I've never heard of them ever in my life. And it's just very interesting to me. So
That's been my goal. So I picked "Bye Bye" by Regina Del Carmen, featuring the one and only Devious. This is a great kind of party track, I think. Very good to get yourself pumped up in the morning, as a lot of Regina Del Carmen songs are. Regina's great. She's got enough energy for like three other. If you could like suck someone's essence out, you could put that into three artists that would also be entertaining. Like she just has so much energy and charisma to her.
yeah, I definitely agree with what you said about it being like a pump-up song, because I was listening to it earlier today for the first time and I just clicked on the song and it automatically was on replay, and I almost didn't even notice that it was replaying. It just was like I'm in the moment type thing, and just the vibes were washing over me.
I feel like a great song to like shadow box to.
Yeah.
But let's talk about a significantly less underrated artist.
So my song of the week is Beach House by Carly Rae Jepsen. I specifically chose this because I went to her concert Friday and had the best time ever. It was like very similar to many other concerts I've been to where I don't really listen up that much ahead of time, but then I just have a good time when I'm there. But this was the one song ahead of time that I really liked off her new album, and just her like stage presence and her persona and this like super camp thing she has going on, and how she like really leans into like, I don't know, like the fandom of it all, I guess, and like really going back into like her old songs in her concerts, but her new stuff is almost very different. It's not like, it's still poppy, but I don't know, this song in particular, I just really like the beat and the, I hate to say this word again, but the vibes of it all. So
Yeah, I hadn't kept up with her since Call Me Maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I had known that she had changed her style since then. You'd almost have to still be a relevant artist in 2022 from 2012. And I was like, oh, thank God this is good, because then I don't have to be mean to Taylor on our show about her music choices.
Yeah, I'm really glad.
I was like, oh yeah, I'd recommend this song to other people.
Yeah, totally. Well,
Yeah.
that's
Hey,
all.
Regina Del Carmen isn't the only local artist. We are talking to Con the band. Next up, we're getting conned. Con!
Yo.
Right next.
I
Cut.
like this new generation of music.
And if you can't find me, to the west of the
God, it's all toilet sounds.
Hi friends, we are joined in the studio today by Con the band. Why don't you go around and introduce yourselves and what instruments you play?
I'm Anna, and I sing and I play guitar.
I'm Jack. I play guitar and harmonica.
I'm John. I play guitar and guitar.
I'm Paulo. I play the drums and I sing sometimes. And we're currently missing our bass player, Spencer.
who is got called like an hour ago to play with Pete Fuchinaro.
Understandable.
Which is unfortunately really cool, so that's nice enough.
Yeah. So how did you guys find each other? Like, what's the band origin story?
It's a pretty good one. So me and Jack were kind of casual buddies, like 2020, 2021, like our freshman year. Pandemic was still kind of going on. We would get like lunch with each other every now and then.
Burrito King.
Yeah, a lot of Burrito King was guy. It was pretty awesome. The beginning of our sophomore year, we were at a party together. It was a fight night, and we were talking. We both knew we played music, but we never really played together. I was a student, or I am a student in the jazz studies program, and he had some bands, just kind of in the Lawrence scene as a high schooler that he played with, and we were like, "Yo, like, we should play together. Like, we should start something up." And literally, the idea was like, "Dude, just book a gig. Book a gig sometime in like it was." Early September, book it sometime in like October, like a month from now, and that will make us get something ready and put a band together. It was just the two of us, guitar and drums, and
Then you were like, I know a guy.
yes, the night after we ended up at another party, and I come to Jack in just this like, I don't know, I was like, dude, I know our guy, I'm gonna get this guy, and that was Spencer. And like the next day I hit him up being like, hey man, like we should jam sometime. So just like me and him like jammed a little bit. At the end, like we like totally hit it off. It was really cool. And at the end it was like, hey, I have a gig booked like in a month. Like you wanna play for it? And he was like, sure man. So the three of us got together, and very quickly we realized that something was missing. And that's when Spencer also knew a guy, Anna. And he was just like, yeah, I know this singer who would like totally kill this, and obviously she did. We played gigs pretty casually around Lawrence for, I think it was until like February. I remember.
No, it was like December.
Oh, was it first semester? Okay, yeah. And then
we knew another guy.
I knew John, and Spencer also knew John. He was a freshman also in the jazz studies program, or just who played with the jazz band a lot. And we were like, this kid is cracked. Like, we gotta like have him sit on a song. And I like sent him our set list. Or no, not even. I sent you like a couple songs that you could sit in on. And this guy plays the whole gig with us and like made us sound 10 times better. So like on the spot, I was just like, yo, like you're hired. Like, and here we are. And then recently, can't see her, but she's behind the camera right now. Shayna Lane, we just picked up as our manager. She's doing awesome, crazy, cool stuff with us. So basically, our formation has always just been like, I know a guy, I know a guy, I know a girl, I know this person, which is kind of always how it works, I feel like. But for us, it was never like this cohesive thing that all of a sudden happened. It was just like this like gradual piling on top of one another, which is
amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's like word of mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys describe yourself on Instagram as a rock, funk, and R&B band for Conquerors.
That's right.
Yep. So who are some of your musical inspirations?
So I think the moment, like one of the first practices we had, whereas it was like a creative vision really started to come together, was when we tried doing a cover of Me and Your Mama by Childish Gambino. Yeah. Because that's from his 2016 record, Awaken My Love, that had Redbone on it. And that's like a perfect example of like hip hop that is deeply in touch with like the funk and R&B roots that hip hop came from. I mean, another good example would be like Earl Sweatshirt, the Soulquarians, Roots, stuff like that, D'Angelo. And then the fun part about doing like hip hop and R&B that's really connected to like the old 70s, 60s stuff is like my guitar playing is really influenced by like Jimi Hendrix, Sly and the Family Stone, George Clinton. So it's this like really psychedelic blues guitar stuff. And then we have these jazz players over here. And if you look at the family tree of American music, jazz, has roots in blues. R&B and hip hop have roots in blues. Rock came from blues. So we have all these diverse styles, but it can come together kind of around modern hip hop that is in touch with all those roots, and all these different styles that blend together. So that's why we say R&B, hip hop, and rock for Conquerors.
It all goes back to the blues, man.
Man, it really does.
It's just all the blues.
It's like yeah. It really does.
Yeah. But we're kind of just like a melting pot of everything we like. One thing we talked about when we were wanting to like start doing original material, because originally we started as a cover group, which is kind of how a lot of groups get their start, honestly, was we all have very different backgrounds and tastes, but we all kind of at this point have a pretty good handle on like our own style. And so I think our sound really comes from like our collective styles and how that kind of all mixes together, as opposed to like us really like honing in on like one certain aesthetic or one certain genre, or like, oh, we're trying to imitate these guys. It's like we're never really trying to imitate too much. It's more just about like playing music how we play music.
Is Jamie like a big part of Con the Bands?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of originally started thinking we'd be a jam band. Then we realized that jam bands don't get as much love as we thought.
They don't.
College kids.
Did we think that?
I think so. Well, man, people don't have like a long enough attention span to sit through a 10-minute jam on every song.
We did realize that if you go crazy in the jam and you physically dance with the jam, then a longer solo section that's stretched out maybe a bit longer than people's attention span turns into a dancing section that you can get the crowd involved. So we've pared down the number of jams from when we started, but every now and then we'll still stretch out a song a few extra minutes to really let the crowd dance and get their adrenaline running.
What was that story Donna was telling you about? How people would just like forget what song we were on, like in the middle of like our 15-minute jam. We've tried to move past that a little bit, but that we'll never forget that era of Con the Band.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't you do like a really long season of The Witch, maybe?
Yeah, that's the one that people would be like, what's going on?
What's going on?
We brought that's like a favorite of yours. I'm glad we brought that back. Like
that one's a good one.
Every time.
So you touched on that you've recently been writing and performing some originals. So care to comment on your songwriting process at all?
Well, I think one of our most like killing originals lately has come from Anna. It's called Puzzle. So like, just take us through like your writing process on that.
Oh, well, I wrote that one when I was 16. Well, it was about my parents' divorce, so always a good time. But yeah, I had like a couple of ideas with that one, and I always knew that I wanted to like bring it to a big band, or just as like a band, because I'd only like wrote it on my like acoustic. But I was like, this is a rock song, like I need some oomph, and I knew that with these cats, like I really wanted to like bring it to them and see what they did with it, and I think I really like playing it with you guys. So.
It's one of my favorites. It's hard.
Our songwriting process is not much different from how we would cover stuff, where it's like somebody comes with a song idea, and then it's like, okay, how can Jazz Guitar Boy fit over this? How can Rock Boy fit over this? How can Vocal Pipes sing on this? So
it's not. I will say, I think it's not tremendously collaborative. Like usually, it's oftentimes someone will come in with a pretty fleshed out idea of what they want, and then because everyone else has different ears and different good ears, that ultimately develops into something a little bit different than, or quite different than what was originally written. But there's only a couple tunes that like. I don't think any that like all of us has really had input on. Maybe I think the most is like 2 or 3 that like someone has written like a bass line or a riff, and then someone writes lyrics over top of that or kind of adds another section to that. But it's definitely the songwriting process. It's like one person makes a thing and then brings it in, and that just gets workshopped. Yeah.
So before we head out, do you have like any projects coming up or gigs that you'd like to talk about real quick?
Yeah, we're trying to get a record out. That's kind of been the top priority for us. Got big things in the works. Big things in the works.
December 10th, Granada.
That's right. Well, well. So the record, we're going to try to get some singles out, and then hopefully get a record recorded next semester. Probably an EP, but maybe an LP, maybe a full record. That'd be super cool. But big thing to be on the lookout for is we are playing the Granada on December 10th. We are supporting the Whips.
The Whips.
The Whips are headlining that show. You know, there's some really uncomfortable tensions with us, and a lot of some really hard beef, dark beef going on right now between us. But it's gonna be a brawl. There's gonna be carnage.
Okay.
It'll be catastrophic.
So everyone should be there
Despair.
December 10th. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
you.
Thank you guys.
Jayhawks, welcome back. I'm Hayden Spratland, and I'm here with another 7-day live music forecast. So tonight, Thursday, at the Bottleneck, we have the Brook and the Bluff for $25. Now, the Brook and the Bluff is Nashville-based. I believe they met in, I think it was Memphis. Don't quote me on that. That might be wrong. But they are like an indie folk R&B band. They came out with their first album in 2021, and they're touring that. And I gave it a little bit of a listen earlier, and it is a banger. So if you are into like some indie folk R&B, like almost Mount Joy, but a little less folky. So if you aren't as granola as Mount Joy, maybe even oatmeal-y, I'd go to Brook and the Bluff tonight. Then we have Arthur Dodge and the Horse Feathers at the Bottleneck tomorrow for $10. Arthur Dodge is a Lawrence-based like Bob Dylan-esque, maybe a little more country type of guy who goes with the Horse Feathers. They are celebrating the 25th anniversary of their debut release with this show. And then on Saturday, we have the Penguins at Lucia. The Penguins are self-proclaimed the tallest band in Lawrence. Now you're only gonna have to pay a $5 cover to get there to see the Penguins on Saturday, excuse me. And they're only going to be playing from 6 to 9, so it's a little bit of an early shout, but they will be there. Then on Sunday, we have the Westerlies at Leeds Center. And that's going to be $16. They're like a contemporary orchestra. They're a brass quartet, sorry. And yeah, so they're going to be at the Leeds Center. And then on Monday is another open mic night at Caw Valley Public House. If you want to go practice your stand-up skills, I implore you to go there. It's a blast. Then on Tuesday, we have the Immersive Experience, which is a rave that is put on by Immersive. It's different by region. So this is like one of 6 different shows that he's doing for this one tour. It's going to be $25 at the Granada on Tuesday, and it looks like an absolute blast. Then on Wednesday, we have Chelsea Cutler at the Granada for $28.50. I didn't have the room to write that, so I just rounded it up to $29. I hope you don't hate me for that. She kind of does like some sob, like bedroom pop-esque type of stuff, like very, very, I don't know, made me sad when I listened to it. And, you know, it's kind of like Lorde almost, except a little less hype. And that's going to do it all for this weekly forecast. Thank you.
Round one. Category is places.
I'm kind of a whore for Bruno Mars.
When I was younger, I got chased by a horsefly. It was scary. We threw a volleyball at it. This is not a safe space for bugs or bug enjoyers.
Everyone is getting tacos right now. I don't know who is giving them out or selling them, but they look good. They don't want a taco to me. Oh, he looks damp. Please get dry.
I'm trying.
I'm calling a guy like you, so wear a warning. It's dangerous. I'm falling. Too high, can't come down. This is why you shouldn't put two people with ADHD together.
Dearest J School, please do not put us in a position where we have to make another blooper episode again. Signed sincerely, Jukebox on the Street.
Welcome back to Jukebox. We're in a different position today. We're trying something new. But today we are going to be talking about our Receiptifys, which is it's a thing on the internet where you can, website where you can basically see, like, track your music listening. So we're going to talk about our top songs of all time on Receiptify. So Taylor, take us away.
I will go first, and mine, out of the 10 songs on here, I believe 7 of them are Harry Styles' Fine Line album. The first one specifically was Sunflower Volume 6 by Harry Styles for my all-time listened to song the most ever, and I'm like definitely not surprised, but the only thing I am surprised by is that it's not a One Direction song, because I've been on Spotify since like I was 12 or something, and that was like a good 5 years of my life. But I still stand by that being like one of his best songs, so I'm glad that it's up there. But yeah.
My top one was Show and Tell by Melanie Martinez. I don't listen to that song as much anymore, but I think it's great because it really shows the objectification of women in the limelight and how they're seen as things, not people. Not gonna lie, my Receiptify was kind of outdated.
I was looking at yours earlier today, and I was like, oh, those are some classics. Classics is a good word to
probably
use.
haven't listened to them in like a year.
That's
but
okay. Now is it?
Yes.
Is it my turn now?
Yes.
Okay. So my number one song of all time is, who guessed it, Professor Booty by Beastie Boys. That is my favorite song of all time. I could talk about it for hours, but I'll spare you. And actually, all 10 of my top 10 songs are by Beastie Boys. Again, who is shocked? Who is shocked? There was a Wallow song in here at one point, but rest in peace to Let the Sun In, I guess. But I mean, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all from the same album, which is Check Your Head, which is my favorite album of all time, despite me wearing a Paul's Boutique shirt today. It's not in the budget right now. So I guess, do we want to, talk about compare, anything like that? Comparing, contrasting?
Yeah, I guess like in general mine, so my second and third, Golden by Harry Styles, Treat People with Kindness by Harry Styles, Canyon Moon by Harry Styles, and then the Savage remix featuring Beyonce, which was my top song by like a lot, like 2 years ago or something, because I would just sit there and play it on repeat over and over, like literally all day long. And then my number 10 song is Montero, Call Me By Your Name.
I love that.
Which is a similar thing where literally the day it came out and like for weeks after, I did not listen to maybe a single song other than that, just on repeat all day long. So I'm glad those made the cut. And then my other non-Harry Styles song is Judgments from the World's Greatest Band by Annie DeRusso, who's my favorite artist, and she hasn't been in any of my wrap-ups yet.
Yeah.
I think she's been in one of mine.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Artist, so
Yeah.
But
Do you want to talk about yours?
Mine are quite different. So, of course, I had Show and Tell as my first. The second was Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood. And the third was Guns and Ships from Hamilton.
I love that.
Yeah, quite a contrast. I listen to a lot of music.
Yeah, and then like I said, mine was Beastie Boys, but who
Who's shocked? Who's surprised?
Not me.
Not me. But yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up now, and then we're gonna move on to our next segment. So see you guys.
Well, let's see what kind of quality programming we have here.
There's about 3 minutes of just a normal song, and then the last 9 minutes are just him pouring his heart and soul onto the track about his long road to get to where he was, you know, meeting up with Jay-Z, finally being on Rockefeller Records, and really trying to make it in the scene.
Do you feel like you are constantly coughing, or always reaching for the tissues? Or maybe you have a headache that just won't go away no matter what you try. Did one of your favorite hobbies become an empty pastime? Are you constantly exhausted and wanting to sleep all day?
Welcome back to This Week in History, where we'll be recounting events in music history from the past week. I'm Hayden.
And I'm Kit.
Joni Mitchell was born on November 7th, 1943. The Canadian singer-songwriter had the 1970 single Big Yellow Taxi. She wrote Both Sides Now for Judy Collins and Woodstock for Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Mitchell's work has been highly respected and has influenced many musicians.
Neil Young was born on November 12, 1945, the singer and guitarist who, as a member of Buffalo Springfield, had the 1967 single For What It's Worth. He was also part of the group Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. In 2008, a university professor discovered a new species of spider and named it after the singer.
They do say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
They do.
In 1967, the first issue of Rolling Stone magazine was published in San Francisco. It featured a photo of John Lennon on the cover and had a free roach clip to hold a marijuana joint. The name of the magazine was made up from Muddy Waters' song, Rollin' Stone, the Bob Dylan record, Like a Rollin' Stone, and, I'm sure you guessed it, the Rolling Stones.
Sandra Denton, a.k.a. Peppa, from the American hip-hop rap trio from New York, Salt and Peppa, was born on November 9th, 1969. They were most known for songs like Push It, What a Man, and Shoop. They were the first female rap act to achieve gold and platinum status with their debut album, Hot, Cool, and Vicious.
Sounds like the Kansas weather, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
In 1970, Aerosmith performed their first ever concert when they played at a high school in Massachusetts. Sometimes known as the Bad Boys from Boston, they went on to become one of the biggest rock bands, selling more than 150 million albums worldwide and holding the record for the most gold and multi-platinum albums by an American group.
You know, I'd consider myself the bad boy of Boston, to be honest. But in 1972, during a UK tour, Billy Murcia of the New York Dolls died after choking on his coffee after a sedative overdose. It happens. The influential punk band formed in 1972 and made just 2 albums. The 1973 New York Dolls and 1974's Too Much Too Soon.
Maybe a little too much coffee too soon.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
In 1975, a new world record was set for continuous guitar string plucking by Steve Anderson, who played for 114 hours and 17 minutes.
In 1993, Meatloaf was at #1 on the U.S. singles chart with I'd Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That.
Not that.
The track was #1 in over 25 countries.
Singer-songwriter Lorde was born on November 7th, 1996. Very young, a lot younger than I thought. She had the 2013 worldwide hit Royals, making her the first New Zealand solo artist to have a #1 song in the U.S. Her second studio album, Melodrama, topped charts in multiple countries, and her third album, Solar Power, was polarizing but entered the top 10 in over a dozen countries.
In 2014, Taylor Swift's album 1989 debuted at #1 on the album chart, selling 1.28 million copies in its first week. This made her the only act with 3 albums selling over 1 million copies in a single week. Her previous album, Red, had sold 1.2 million in its first week, and Speak Now had 1.04 million sales.
In 2016, Leonard Cohen died at the age of 82. He pursued a career as a poet and novelist during the 50s and early 60s and launched a music career in the late 60s. Hallelujah is his most notable song, which found great popular acclaim through a recording by John Cale.
And that is all for Jayhawk Jukebox this week. Tune in again next week at 4:30 and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Jayhawk Jukebox and on Twitter at Jayhawk_Jukebox.
Jayhawks, have a great weekend.
As always.